Good afternoon. We'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for joining us today. It's great to be live and in person with real people and not just virtually. We're back. And we're back, as they say. All right, so we'll call the meeting order and I'll ask for approval of the minutes from the agency meeting of June 15th. The motion, please. Moved by Jay, seconded by Brett. Any additional comments, changes? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Nays? Motion carries. Okay. Kevin Loki, how about Kevin? There he is. Given us the local labor.
Do you want him on the
report.
camera?
It'd be nice if you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
sure.
that is what we needed.
There you go.
Standing's fine. Okay, so I have the June 2021 monthly Commuter report. Covers our visits between June 1st and June 30th. During this period, we made 95 monthly site visits. We made 3 follow-up visits during this period. We checked for residency with 661 workers. Those we had 14 issues of non-compliance, 10 of which was no proof of residency. That was at 2 projects. We had 4 out of area. That was on 1 project. For the USRE Manitow project, which we are monitoring a little bit differently, given that it has a 30% blanket waiver. We had 57 local, 10 out of area on our visit. Again, that project is subject to a 70% overall local compliance. As of June 30th, 2021, all monitored sites are in compliance at the time of our inspection. We had 3 new COMIDA signs delivered, 3453 Union Street, LLC, USRE Rochester, LLC, and 275 Wiregrass Parkway, LLC.
Thank you. So what's going on with the Luna? They had 9.
So that in particular inspection, it was a drywall company. None of them were prepared for it. Because that building is, in the towers and the upper floors, instead of sending them all of their cars, we just followed up the next day, just so they didn't have to go all the way down. But it was just one company, all drywallers that were compliant in the next visit.
Okay, great. And on the USRE Manitou road, they're subject to 70% compliance, but what is the actual percentage that they're achieving?
I cannot get you the overall number just now. They are implementing an RFID system, which will be better able to track labor.
Badging?
Correct. Which will be able to better track as a whole, and that should be fully implemented on Thursday or Friday of this week. Supposed to be earlier, but they had a problem with the system arriving on time. Once that's in place, I'm confident I can provide better totals of their overall compliance, but
The overall percentage would be the
Sure.
actual.
And that's something I can get like hopefully every week.
Would be great.
Yeah, once I know
So
that.
if it's 80% or 95, or,
Right.
that would be helpful.
Ideally, we can get as close to 100 as possible with that, which we're obviously working with them to do. But I will have an orientation later this week to familiarize myself with the system. And then again, I can better provide more accurate numbers on a weekly, monthly, even daily basis with what they're telling me they can set up. So hopefully that'll be easier for all of us.
Yes,
It's a learning experience,
it's
obviously.
all new. That
Sure.
system.
Right. Sure. So I have been involved with the meetings. We've gone over the badge process. It is going to be beneficial. It's not up and running. The iron workers are really the main trade that's there right now, other than some of the people doing site work. It is going to gear up probably here in the next 3 weeks. We are meeting again Thursday to go over the badge process again. We'll all have access to that. We can actually get reports. They want to work with the board in any way to inform.
Great.
So they are really, our efforts are working. I do have a question though about Loki Grill. Do they have a service that would monitor out-of-state contractors having workers' comp and being compliant with this paid sick leave? Do you monitor that in any other IDA?
Yes, for a lot of the IDAs we work for in the Hudson Valley and around the state, one of the other things we do is we collect insurance documentation, general liability, auto coverage, New York State workers' comp, New York State disability insurance, and we make sure that all companies, before they begin on the project, have all that insurance in place. And then we monitor that like for whenever it's about to expire. We make sure that we're getting the renewed certificates, but yeah, we do that for other projects we monitor.
I bring that up because I have been questioned by local contractors that are feeling they're not bidding apples to apples to an out-of-state contractor handling case. So I don't know if that's something the board would like to include Kevin in to assist us. We do know there's going to be 700 to 900 employees on that one site, and there are going to be multiple out-of-state contractors. I'm just following up because a contractor did reach out to me to want to discuss this. So just something to mill out in the future here.
Sure, and we do have 6 Amazon projects that we're currently auditing around the state. Pretty much all of those, we are collecting the information because Amazon has a lot of vendors that are national companies they are bringing in. So obviously it's important to make sure they're all covered in New York State under, the different requirements we have here in the state, but certainly something we can help out with if you wanted to explore that opportunity.
Yeah, Rachel let me know that we can convene our governance committee to look at working on updating our Loki Bill contract to include that component. And we'd love to include you, Troy, in that conversation.
Yeah, that would take some of the off.
Yes, of course.
Troy, prior to that, I think one of the things that I'm sure Trammell Crow, who's the general contractor, is asking for insurance certifications from all their subs. And we may be able to get that from them. I mean, it's a simple one-page document, so.
Well, because it didn't happen in one instance, that's the concern.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying in general, I think that would also be in addition to what. Could I request that you, Troy, Kevin, one of you just let us know that the RFID system did go operational on Thursday?
Sure.
No hiccups in that. That would be great to know.
I'll give some feedback too on my next labor report I send with kind of how the system works. There is an app you can use on your phone too. So we can actually go around the site and start scanning people's badges to make sure they're all badging in properly and that the system actually is working how it's supposed to. So we will have a little bit more teeth in the game once this goes into place. It should be this week.
If you wouldn't mind just giving a quick, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet email prior to our next meeting. Just,
Sure.
hey, it went operational, it looks good, or hey, there's some hiccups that we're working out, whatever the situation would be.
And I know that they're, happy to accommodate anyone that's part of COMIDA if they want to walk on the site to go through and kind of see how it works for yourself too. I'm sure they have no problem doing so.
Perfect, great, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other questions for Kevin? All right, thanks very much.
Have a great afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Next item on the agenda is the local labor exemption report. Is Brian on the line? Brian?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Okay, so I have one exemption to report on today that was processed in June, and that was the RLP3 Greece LLC project. This exemption was related to the installation and the testing of the commercial security systems at the site on Lexington Avenue. So the situation with this is it was an ADT product. ADT does have a local office in Rochester, but their office in Rochester did not have enough resources to complete this job with just them and meet the timeline. So they had to use one of their subs called Watchdog Security out of Binghamton. And the exemption was based on the warranty issues, right? So ADT, they had to use their own installers. Basically, they came in and they mounted the cameras, and I think they mounted them and then they focused them and did some other things with the camera systems.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
And that was it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was it. Any questions for Brian? All right, I guess not. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Great. Thank you, guys.
All right, next item on the agenda is the financial report, right?
Yep, thanks, Ann.
It's all good, right?
It's all good. It's all good. As you can see, 6 months through our year, continue our strong, rebound, and really want to focus, obviously on our cash. We've just a point of reference. You can see where it was at the end of this last year, 2020. Obviously, with all the new projects closing in 2021 through the first 6 months, we've built that back up. Again, I would also, a little point of reference, last June 2020, our cash balance was about 7.2. So strong rebound after where we were 12 months ago. Everything else in terms of the balance sheet is everything's going as planned and as expected. In terms of our performance, revenue, and expenses through 6 months, you can see how strong we've done so far. And again, just some point of reference here, we've done 2.3 million through the first 6 months. Where we were, last year was obviously a very hard year. You can see we did $500,000 of fees and projects closed through that point in time. But again, going back to 2019, which was another very strong year, revenue, fees earned through those first 6 months was about 1.6 million. All right, so that we're about 700,000 over a really, 19 was a really good year. Through June.
Yeah.
Through June.
Right.
And then 2018 was about 440,000 through June. So
right.
Again, all that pent-up demand that we had last year is really starting to take effect in these first 6 months. And the average total revenue over 12 months over the last 5 years has been about 2.27 million. So we're already over the average that we've done over the past 5 years. Through June. Right. So again, a lot of that is carried over. Was obviously with COVID last year and not a lot of things closing, but we're already over the average of over what it was the last 5 years. So just some point of reference, because again, if you just look at last year, it's hard to you're really not comparing apples to apples from that aspect of it. All of our expenses are holding pretty much to what it was last year. We do anticipate some further projects and things to come before the board to consider as some of these things close. So overall, like I said, a really strong year. And like I said, we're going to continue to monitor that. Obviously, over the next, we're kind of doing this in 6 month blocks. We're going to start looking at this to kind of how we start getting our footing here. So we'll probably have a better insight to what the next 6 months are going to be here in the next 2 to 3 weeks as we try to project out our revenue flow.
How did we get the expenses year to date this year versus 20? Did we come in that close?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's
$400
well, again, it's there hasn't been a lot of changes. There hasn't been a lot of changes. Again, a lot of times the things that would change from year to year are, I think there's been a lot of sponsorships that would come before the board that you just don't have some of those events that those are always
the mix of expenses, I think, was quite varied. I just thought it was interesting. You landed the airplane almost.
Coincidence, coincidence. I think, it just happened to work out that way, but there hasn't been a lot of things popping up here. I think, like I said, the board has done a good job, and Anna and the team has done a good job of trying to manage what those costs are. Although we're still a little bit in an uncertain time, I don't think anyone thinks we're out of the woods yet. They're just again, commit to, money that, we just don't know, what's going to kind of happen here still.
In any case, we're under budget. That's always a good place to be in on the expense side.
Exactly.
And the change in net assets, very important.
Significant.
Very important.
So solid, real solid footing, probably like I said, the strongest we've been in, at least in the last 5 years.
And the county executive is committed to turning the emergency loans that we issued in partnership with MCIDC into grants. So using CARES Act money. So the county finance department is in the process, and the law department are in the process of executing on individual contracts with all of the loan recipients to effectively turn them into grants, moving those dollars from CARES Act funds to MCIDC, which will then move the funds that were contributed by COMIDA back into this agency's accounts. So we'll see that on our books as well. Hopefully soon.
It's all good news. Okay. All right. Let's see. Next item on the, and if there aren't any other questions on the financial report, thank you, Greg. The next item on the agenda is public comments, and I understand we had folks sign up to speak. Is it Rob Gail Brave and Dan Brennan are both signed up to speak. You have 2 minutes before the meeting, not the committee meeting.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, thank you very much. My name is Rob Galbraith, and I represent Delphi Corporation. And we were at the meeting last week regarding the recommendation for recapture with respect to the Delphi plant. To say we were surprised, to put it mildly, we were advised last July in 2020 that there was going to be no recapture by Mr. Darnell. We confirmed that in writing. That was confirmed with the buyer's council. We structured our deal based on that. We relied on that. The pilot was expressly supposed to terminate in 2000. The documents were filed with the pilot, the tax documents were filed with the pilot, showed a termination date in 2019. Those documents pursuant to your recapture policy should have been reviewed and considered with respect to this. We don't believe that they were. Our argument, as I said, primarily is the decision was made. We're surprised that we're coming back, that there's a second bite at the apple. If there was a recapture event, then the IDA had to come back. If a recapture event occurred, then the date of the sale was the date that the property was transferred to Delphi, which was August 10th. There was you have 90 days to serve a notice, that notice was to be served on Delphi that there was a recapture event and you were seeking the recapture. That didn't occur. The letter from Joe, the first notice that we had of any recapture occurred last week, almost 1 year from the date of transfer. The resolution as proposed currently proposes that the IDA and the taxing jurisdictions make a determination as to what the recapture should be and how the recapture should be handled. That is direct contravention of the state statute, your recapture policies, and the pilot agreement. The IDA is formed, this was created pursuant to state statute in order to work with developers. The concept of us having as a plant, we came here as we discussed it, we came here, and this was entered into when Delphi was in bankruptcy. The concept is that we came in, and you need to look at what the original documentation said in making the recapture policy. We had no facts or findings of where the recapture comes from in connection with this.
So we reached the 2 minutes.
Can I have one statement if I could?
Okay.
I want to ask the board, have there been any discussions between members of this board or agency personnel in either the school district or the town, including their representatives, where the decision on recapture on this project is a factor in the town or school district of Henrietta's approval or implementation of other IDA projects? Because if there is, this would have significant legal consequences.
Okay, thank you very much. Daniel.
Hi, everyone. My name is Daniel Brennan. I'm also from the law firm Davidson Fink, representing Delphi. I'm going to try not to repeat everything that Rob just said. We've submitted now 2 letters to this board. The initial submission, which I think you've all hopefully had a chance to review and refer. But we also submitted a supplemental letter just today. And I would encourage you to look at that letter very closely and look at the documents, the exhibits that were attached to that letter. This is an administrative decision. The decision that you make today has to be based on the evidence that's on the record. And so I want to look at the resolution that we've been provided, and maybe this is just a draft resolution and it's changed since we've been provided, but based on the evidence that's on the record, based on the submissions that we've made, the submissions that we've received from the school district, I don't believe that you can vote in favor of this resolution. So I think the important part to look at is section 1. So under section 1, it says under section 10 of the pilot agreement, as a result of the company's sale and closure of the facility. That's a problem. We haven't defined when the sale and the closure of the facility occurred, and we have not defined in this resolution how that is an event that triggers recapture. I think that you need that in order to make a decision to recapture. The second part says that the agency hereby authorizes recapture of up to 25% or less of the real property tax abatements. 25% or less. This board has the sole authority to determine recapture. So you can't say 25% or less. You must determine the exact recapture amount. It is your sole authority to do that. It cannot be delegated to the school district or the taxing jurisdictions. The third part, is that tax abatements provided to the company under the 2007 pilot agreement with such recapture being undertaken by the affected taxing jurisdiction. Rob mentioned that. This board does not have authority to delegate its statutory powers to another municipality or district. And so I would ask you to think about this very closely, to look at all of the documents that have been submitted on the record, and to speak with your counsel about whether the board has authority under state law, under your own policies, and under the pilot agreement that you entered into with my client on this matter.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Time limit. Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any other folks who've signed up to speak? Not that we're aware of. Okay. All right. The first item on our agenda is 145 LLC. And I understand we have Alan Stern with us.
Hello, everybody.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
So we're submitting it
Let's start with, on the show, sort of give the broad strokes,
Project description.
and then you can give us more detail.
Thank you. 145 LLC, a real estate holding company, is proposing to demolish an existing 14,000 square foot building, construct a new 80,000 square foot apartment building in the neighborhood of the Arts in the city of Rochester. The building will consist of 45 market rate apartments, as well as 4 to 5 units that are affordable to households earning equal or less than 60% of the area median income. There will also be a 1,650 square foot space of commercial area for potential tenants. This project was originally before the board in June of 2021, was not approved. The applicant reapplied, adding an affordable component to the project. The project plans to create 1 new FTE. The $15 million project is seeking a real property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemption, and the cost to benefit ratio is 4:1.
And we did receive additional information on the number of units and where they're located, and maybe you could elaborate on that.
well, in addition to the 45 market rate, we're going to include 5 affordable housing units. They'll have the same appliances, kitchen appliances as the market rate. Same opportunity to enjoy the amenities. The rooftop terrace. We'll have a accommodation. They'll be able to use the grilling area over at the Carnegie. And if they so choose, they'll be able to, affordable people will be able to park inside as well. There'll be a gym on site.
So they're basically the same units.
Pardon?
There's the same units. The five,
Same units, yeah. But 5
as
of them
they're
will be
being
affordable.
instructed for those that are not considered affordable housing.
45 will be market rate and 5 will be affordable.
Alan, what's the range of sizes overall in the complex? And
No
then-
range,
and then
6 to, all the 1 bedrooms will be 600 to 700 square feet, and the 2 bedroom, 2 baths are about 1,100, and the 2 bedroom, 1 bath are about 1,000.
And the ones you're proposing to be affordable are,
It'll be the 1 bedroom lots.
so they're all the smaller units?
Yeah.
Okay.
Could you explain the finishes being similar? Is there anything we need to know beyond that?
No, same kitchen appliances, same window treatments, flooring, everything.
Are there any questions? Go ahead.
It's not a question, but I guess a comment. I think at the last meeting, I suggested roughly 10%, 5 to 10% of units being. My hope was that the 10% would be representative units, so that, if there are, there would be an equal number of there'd be 10% of the one bedrooms, 10% of the two bedrooms, so that it was a representative sample. It seems like my takeaway, correct me if I'm wrong, is that all of the affordable units are the small units. It's not a representative sample. Is my understanding correct?
Right now it is, yes.
Okay. Would you be open to making it a representative sample? I think, speaking just for me, that was my hope, is that if you had, I'll just say, if you had 70,000 square feet of living area, that there would be roughly 7,000 square feet of affordable.
Okay, understood.
That is the 10%, and that, I'm pleased to hear that the units you're proposing are no different than the other units. That's fantastic. That's exactly what at least speaking for myself, I would have hoped for. But like I said, I was hoping for a representative sample that we don't, create all small units. So,
Well, they're, I wouldn't say they're small, but they're.
the smaller
they're
units
nice
in
one
your,
bedrooms,
in,
so.
the small as defined by what is in your complex. So, and I'll open it up to,
It's hard to make, the project financially viable. But if we can make one of the, two-bedroom, one bath into affordable housing. we'll get it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you
If we
just
can make
said.
one of the two-bedroom, one baths into affordable housing, we'll make the numbers work. We'll
I see.
do it. What are the minimum we'll have? We'll find one of them.
Other comments from the board?
I'm still,
Questions?
80,000 square foot, 45 market rate apartments, 1,000 square feet, you said? I'm struggling with the math here.
Well, the ground floor is parking, so. That's,
Parking, there's
16,
commercial, and then
17,000
there's residential.
And there isn't anything in here, did I read something about the layout hasn't been decided yet? And it's still open?
it's still, we're still, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Can you tell me what's the total square footage of apartment space? Do you know what that is?
About 64,000.
So 64,000. And you're proposing about 30, at 650 square feet apiece, 5 round, that's 3,250 square feet of affordable housing, right?
It'll be about 700 actually, close to 700. Okay, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on, there was a public hearing held on this matter on June 10th. Were there any comments during that meeting? I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor
We do not.
exemptions at this time?
We do not.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
I am.
Thank you very much. The seeker process is complete, and now we'll move forward with the reading of the resolution.
I'll move to waive the reading of this resolution and subsequent resolutions.
Thank you. Your second.
One of these days, we have to know how to go.
So any other comments, questions on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording tax, and sales tax exemptions. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion. I guess, Rachel, I'm gonna ask a question. I would be supportive if we could get 10% of the, or really close to 10% of the total square footage as affordable. That,
Okay, and
so if we can do that, and if Mr. Stern is willing to commit to that, I would be in favor of it. If he's not, then that would affect the way I would vote. Is there a way to make a motion such that we can?
yes, yes. So what we will do is we will add that the approval is subject to 10% of the total square footage being allocated to the affordable housing.
Living space.
of
A living
Living
space.
space.
Correct.
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 Yeah.
Correct. Which you said is 60, correct? Is that what you said?
What's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe even, we could take out the common hallways.
Yeah.
But I mean, the affordables, we'll use common hallways, so I don't go the whole way out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Do I need to make that? Do I need to make a
Yeah,
motion
you
for
can
that?
read the
I'll-
motion,
I'll-
yeah.
So the motion then would be motion for inducement and final resolution approving a real property tax abatement, mortgage recording price, and sales tax exemptions, subject to 10% allocation for affordable housing of the living space area. Okay.
It reflects what I guess.
Right. So you're going to make the motion?
I will make the motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second by Tony. Any additional comments, changes? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Well, I'm going to take a roll call vote. All right, Jay?
I am yes, subject to the motion.
Brett?
Thank
Troy?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yeah.
Lisa?
Yeah.
And Anna's a yea. Unanimous, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations to you. Thanks for working with us.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
So how does that work? Get to resubmit it? Is that what happens?
We will monitor the project on an ongoing basis, using the rules to monitor that. The 10%.
So we'll know how many units there actually are?
Exactly right. It will go on an annual basis.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next item is Innovation Arts Management LLC. I believe we have Carl Stabnow with us. Welcome. And we'll start out with Anna walking us through the application.
Innovation Arts Management LLC is renovating the theater at Innovation Square, the former Xerox building in downtown Rochester. The 700-seat auditorium space will be converted to a mid-sized performing arts center to serve local and regional arts and cultural organizations. The $336,955 project is projected to create 5 new FTEs. The applicant is seeking approval of a sales tax exemption only. The benefit to incentive ratio is 19:1.
Yes, would you like to elaborate a little bit? Tell us more.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's
So,
a great sort of combination of talents in
yes,
the arts
it
that
is.
come together to
It
tackle
is.
this
My other
center.
project, I teach entertainment business at RIT, and over the last couple of years, we've done a lot of audits for what the city needs for entertainment to really serve the local and regional components that we have. So the project at Innovation Square came to my wife and I through a mutual contact that knew Andy Galena, and he offered us a long-term lease on the space, contingent that we would handle all of the renovations and take over the full project of the auditorium. So we looked at the space, the work that I've done on some of the downtown performing arts auditing through RIT, gave me a lot of connections with different performing arts entities in town, music, theater, dance, comedy, TED Talks, those things. And so this project discussion started earlier in the year. We talked about the viability for a 700-seat, which is sorely needed in this community. Most theaters are either much bigger and carry much higher operating costs, or they're far too small. So when we put this together, we really made it with the idea that this is to promote local arts and entertainment. So organizations like Art Bacon Dance, Rochester City Ballet, RPO, Rochester Community Players, Theater Rocks have all signed on with us to do programming in the space because it meets a lot of their financial needs. Part of the project was building the theater with technology integrated. A lot of other theater producers will charge for sound, lights, all of their services. We said we don't want to do that. We'd rather include everything that goes on all in one, because our idea with this is to make this a truly sustainable space. My wife and I have both worked in nonprofits for a long time, and we know that production costs are where everybody spends their money. So we said, okay, if we can create a space that creates great financial stability and good stewardship of donations for not-for-profits, that's what we really want to do. So this is our contribution to it. The sales tax exemptions that we're seeking are primarily for
the equipment in the theater, so that we don't have to pass those costs on in our
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board?
What kind of utilization for the year?
Yeah, right now we're doing pre-bookings. I think we have 10 or 12 full weeks booked already. We're
Give me some
anticipating,
context. Are you happy with that? Are you worried about?
you know what, a lot of them are, it's actually been really good. We probably have another 20 weeks ready to go that are contingent on seeing the final space renovated. Since the theater has been used in 15 years and is all, you know, basically nobody's been in it, a lot of companies said, well, final project. So this year we're anticipating probably 30 to 40,000 patrons through the facility. Capacity probably in the neighborhood of 60 to 70,000 a year. Utilization theater and dance primarily, since they were useful weeks. We're anticipating, in addition to that, roughly about 150 additional shows, whether those are music or comedy or community talks, TED Talks. National Esports Association will be in the building and in the space to do the program.
So how many other sort of comparable size auditoriums exist? Where are they?
Sure. There were two previously. The Lyric Theater, which was just sold. I think Grace Road Church purchased it. Yeah, so they're offline. The only other one was, and they had 780 seats. The other one was Hochstein Performance Hall at 850 seats. The difference between this venue and their venue is everything that we're putting in the sound and lights and rigging above stage for theatrical productions, curtain sequencing, things like that. So theirs is built primarily as a music performance hall. Ours was meant to accommodate theater, dance, lecture series, competitive video gaming, esports, so fully integrated.
Okay, great. Any other questions?
I have a comment. My thought process is, build it, they will come. So I think what you're seeing is small compared to once it's built and people see it, then it can be successful.
Okay, so
Sounds like a
there's
wonderful
no,
project.
I'm sorry, was there a question?
No, just a comment. Sounds like a wonderful project.
Indeed. Okay, so there, you do not need to have a public hearing on this item, so I'll ask you a few local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
Yes, sir.
And do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
None of this.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes, sir.
So you can actually use local labor for the installation of all of this equipment.
Yes, we can. There's a great company in Henrietta that's doing most of the majority of the installation.
Very good news. Okay, the seeker process is complete. We've waived the reading of the resolution because we all have the resolutions in our packets. And so now I will ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a sales tax exemption. Moved by Joe, seconded by Brett. Any additional comments, questions? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Brett?
Yeah.
Troy?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yes.
Lisa? And Ann is a yay. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations.
Thank you so
luck
much.
with the
Good luck.
theater. Great project. Sounds marvelous.
We all get a chance to go there.
Go there and see it, right. Okay, next item on the agenda is 36 West Main LLC.
And
Let's see, we have several people who joined us to speak to this item. Sam Severino and Courtney Samuels Cox. Okay, welcome. So, Bonnie, you want to kick us off?
36 West Main Street LLC is proposing to renovate the executive building in downtown in the city of Rochester. Vacant commercial spaces will be converted into a mixed-use facility consisting of 132 apartments, 30% of which will be affordable to households earning 80% or less than the area median income. The project is seeking the the Conversion Urban Exemption Program for the city of Rochester. The anchor commercial tenant is the Monroe County Public Defender's Office and has committed to remaining in the building. The $41.9 million project is projected to retain 187 FTEs and create 24 new FTEs. The applicant is seeking approval of a sales tax exemption and mortgage reporting tax exemption. Benefit to incentive ratio is 13:1.
Thanks, Anna. Any other comments you'd like to add on this project?
Sure.
Just introduce yourself.
I'm Courtney Samuels Cox, Vice President of Development at Savarino Companies.
Nice to meet
This
you.
is Sam Savarino, CEO of Savarino Companies. So we've been retained as a partner with Milos Vojvodic of Itis Properties LLC, who's the current property owner of the executive building. We're also providing construction management services. So the proposed project is really a fairly conventional historic rehabilitation and adaptive reuse to a mixed-use project anchored by a multifamily community that is going to consist of market rate, 70% market rate component and up to 30% workforce housing, affordable housing component, and up to 60,000 square feet of commercial space, which has been substantially leased by the county of Monroe. We plan on having at minimum 20% of the project affordable to 80% area median income. Currently in the model right now, we have 30% of the units affordable, 80% AMI. We definitely intend to uphold that. Things may shift a little bit as the program settles in.
Between 20 and 30% is what you're envisioning?
Correct.
Can you talk, in light of the conversation we had with, the units, any difference between affordable and market rate, and are they representative?
No, I would like to point out, it is a market rate project. This is not a regulated in any way from New York State. We're not applying for state funding or anything like that. So there are no income restrictions on any of the tenants that we have here. We have a model for our apartment portion of the project, and that shows that 30% of those units, the rents that we are charging on those, would be affordable to people at 80% of the area median income, and in some cases lower. It just works out that that is the market for us to meet over here for these, and the pricing that we're.
So,
but I think to answer your question directly, yes, it is across the different types of units. There are some mostly ones, and there are some too many.
so I'm going to state my understanding, you can let me know if it's, so you're saying basically the rents you intend to charge are affordable to 80%, to people making 80% of the area median income, that there's going to be basically no difference across all your units, that you're not reserving 20 to 30% of it for people making 80% or less. Is that?
We are not segregating units at the 80% AMI rent.
It's 30% of the 132.
Yeah, it says 30% on here.
Yeah.
That's affordable of the 132, is that correct?
Yes, currently in the model, that's correct. Yes. So whatever that math works out to be, 30 units or so are currently priced to be affordable to 80% of the area median income.
So I'm going to state, so then you could have 30% of the units being small because they're less rent.
Yeah.
Is that what you envision?
No, those units are spread throughout, the 6 or so residential floors evenly. They're not earmarked for the smallest units in the project. They're evenly distributed throughout.
There are many different unit types that we have over here. It's for retrofitting an existing building, so it's not, there's a whole bunch of different sizes and rents for the different units. And there's different locations within the building for each of those. Some have windows that face the inside, some have windows that face the outside. Some are smaller one-bedroom units, some are larger one-bedroom units.
So I'm still, so I'm still not, how would we know that 30% of the units, or 20%, between 20 and 30%, wherever your model comes in, are occupied by people making 80% or less?
We are not Well, we are not
So that's,
having any income restrictions on this, so we're not limiting the potential renters of those units, to people earning that amount. We are
It's financial
having
model.
rents that are
yeah,
affordable.
I just want to make
Yeah, we have rents that are deemed to be affordable for people earning.
Okay, and I realized too on your supplemental information, you said that the residential unit mix will consist of studio, one-bedroom, and two-bedroom units with a predominance of one-bedroom units. And the apartment rents will range from $925 to $1,670 per month, with an average of $222 average rent per square foot. 30% of the units are affordable to 80% AMI based on the 2021 HUD AMI income limits for Rochester. Are there other questions?
And is the area median income, what is that based on? Is that based on the city of Rochester?
Yeah.
Okay.
Other questions? Other questions?
Joe had a question on, just didn't answer. Rachel about the total value of the tenants in the packet.
I'm just trying to pull the fact that the total value of the commission is $1.4 million.
1.4 million.
Like 1 million.
That includes the mortgage reporting.
The bulk of it is sales tax
Right.
at 1.2,
Right.
and the mortgage reporting tax at $210,000.
Okay, all right. So there was a public hearing held on this matter on July 16th. Are there any comments at that hearing? I'll ask you some local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy? Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
No.
And are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. The seeker process is complete. We have waived the reading of the resolution, so I'll ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving the mortgage recording tax and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion? Moved by Troy, seconded by Lisa. Any additional comments, questions on that? All right, we'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
I'm almost, I guess, I'm a little conflicted because we looked at the project that came before and we required a 10% affordable component.
Full living square
Yeah,
footage.
yeah. Here it seems to me we're not doing that. We're saying that, hey, this is all comers and that, the rents are affordable. I guess I just want to. Yeah, so if we do it on the city of Rochester AMI, you're saying that your lowest rent is $925 a month, and that's affordable to 80%? Okay, as long as we can verify that.
Our annual report from the applicants will require that we gather information to verify that there is a 30% set aside.
That's in there.
But it's 30% of the units are make less than 80%.
Right, but those 30% could be occupied by people making well.
Right, they're not
Yeah,
gonna be
more.
looking for anything.
Correct. So I see exactly where you're going.
Yeah,
So how many square foot total living space is there going to be can you tell us that?
Yeah, 1 second. I think it's 143,000 feet.
I'm sorry?
I think it's 143,000, but I have the exact number.
And that's all living space, correct?
Sorry, the multifamily rentable square footage is 81,000.
8,100 square feet.
24, 16 to 24 is what we're talking about.
Yeah, so.
Either one.
Are there other questions?
I think the thought process is, we're trying to say, okay, if we're gonna grant benefits, we wanna make sure there's benefit to the taxpayers. So we wanna make sure there's an affordable piece to people living in the city that otherwise couldn't live in your building, well, right? So that's what we're trying to do.
So I'm willing to engage you on that point over here, just a couple things. The prior project you had over here was also asking for a property tax. I would agree, we're not asking for.
Understood.
All right, okay, so there's a difference between what we're asking for. You know,
Do you understand where we're conflicted?
I understand what you want.
Yeah, that at the end of the day, even if it's 30% that are affordable, are there other costs that come in, parking, whatever, that at the end of the day, 30% of the units are not occupied by, are truly, they're affordable in name only, not.
Well, you know, there's affordable in what the rents are, and there's affordability is if you're restricting the tenants, the people who earn that amount. That's a regulated project. We are not proposing a regulated project. We don't have funding from New York State that provides us grant funding for providing affordable housing. This is a privately financed project. Our model that we have prepared based upon the market study that we did about the type of housing and the rents that we have to charge downtown to get people who work downtown to rent there. The model that we have right now, 30% of our units, by our calculations, are affordable to 80% of people at 80% AMI.
But you won't be controlling that.
No, we will not be controlling.
We would be following up with you as part of our annual reporting process to determine if you were fulfilling that commitment.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then, you know, is that part of the motion that you have right here? I don't think that was part of our.
No, we're having a discussion,
Just,
but.
asking questions. Okay. Rachel, do you have some thoughts on that?
Well, we do have, a housing project, and I understand we're not gonna call this an affordable set aside, because that seems to be nomenclature creating some confusion, but we would expect to monitor that and see your rent rolls and do our own independent verification that 30%, between 20 and 30% are being leased to individuals whose income is at 80% of the area.
So it would be regulated. So we would have to have income restrictions on certain people.
Well, it would be, I wouldn't say regulated, it would be monitored.
It would be monitored.
So if you come in, you make a commitment to us.
You'll tell us what the rents are, and we'll know what the area median income is.
Well, you're asking us to come back and that we would report to you, and you would monitor the rents to make sure that X percentage of our units are set at rents that are affordable to people at 80%. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that what we're asking, or we're asking, I mean, because the one thing I would like to see is, when we get that, are 30% of the units being rented to people whose income is below.
Well, we're not asking anything yet. All we're saying now is, whatever we do ask for, it's monitored. That's the number.
And you're offering to have 30% of their units priced at that level. That's what they're committing to. So through our own annual review of projects, we would follow up with you on that to see how many units you're selling at what price and how that measures to the.
Right, well, in our application, we cited the fact that in our model right now, 30%, by our calculation, 30% of our units are for rents that are affordable to people earning 80% of area median income. That's what we know. If you're asking us to stipulate that we will set aside those units and report to you and limit the rents on those, are you asking us to stipulate that?
I would like
Just
to.
that 30% measurement that you're committing to, that you maintain that same percentage, I think is what we're saying.
All right, well, our application was a declaration that right now, that's what this is, and that's the way our
That's
model
the
is based.
plan.
Yeah, if you're asking us to stipulate going forward that we would report to you that X percent or X number of units are at rents affordable, deemed to be affordable, to tenants at 80% of AMI, if that's what you're asking us, stipulate?
Yes, if you're changing the price up or down, but do you still have 30% that are in that affordable range?
For the monitoring, I would like to go one step further on those 30%. I'd like to know what the income is on those folks to say, are we actually getting 30% that are at 80% AMI?
They're not.
The other part of the project.
But I want to throw that on the table. What's that?
The other part of the project is
Totally good.
We hadn't proposed a regulated project or to impose upon any tenants, the actual or potential, that they give us the evidence that you normally would have to provide for an affordable housing project.
We can do that as part of our own annual review.
But when someone comes and rents, you typically ask them what their income is, right?
Yes, generally we do a tenant profile, we want to make sure they can afford the unit that they're renting.
So for the 30% that are deemed to be affordable,
Okay.
I would ask that you report out what is the actual income of those to say, are we truly getting? I would like to know, are we really getting 30% that are at 80% AMI? Or are those 30% being occupied by people at 200% AMI?
That seems fair.
I would like to know that, because I think we're going through some growing pains in our housing policy, and I would like to,
We understand, we develop and construct a lot of affordable housing, and we're advocates for that as well. We understand the pressure that's on the
and we're
market.
evolving, so this is.
Well, what we did not know when we came in here is that, we would be stipulating there's something over here. We're not uncomfortable with stipulating that we will, have rents, that's X percent of units, with rents that are deemed affordable to tenants at 80% of the area median income. And that we will provide, questionnaires to our tenants and be able to report to you the income levels of the people that have rented those units. That's what, I would only stipulate, I would wish to lower the percentage. If we are restricting those units going forward, I would stipulate that they be 20%, not 30%. If you're asking
Do we
us
want to
stipulate.
table this motion? It sounds like we're all good on this.
I think I'm good. I think I'm good between 20 and 30%. And all I would ask is 20, 30%, and the AMI is the city of Rochester, and then as part of your reporting on those units, 20 to 30%, you just report what is the actual AMI there. And you have that data.
That's right, yeah, well, the data is based on 2021 budget.
Right. For city of Rochester. Okay. That's,
All right.
was a great discussion, and
I think we can go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too.
But our stipulation was 20%. Is it understood?
Yeah, it says 30 here, but we can make a motion for 20. I mean, that's-
your colleague said 20 to 30, I'm good with whatever.
Let's say 20.
All right.
Well, you're 22.
Rachel, so the motion would say,
The motion will remain the same. What we will do is in the project description that goes into all the project documents, the amount used will be 20%. We will monitor the project throughout the course of construction. This is a sales and mortgage tax only deal, so we'll be monitoring this project until 2023. And we will ask for information throughout that monitoring.
so the motion for inducement and final resolution approving the mortgage reporting tax and sales tax exemptions, subject to the monitoring that Rachel just reviewed.
Yes, which is standard.
Standard, right. So may I have the motion? Who did?
I have Troy in this.
We had such a lengthy discussion. All right, so any additions or corrections to the motion? All right, I'll take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes, subject to what we discussed.
Tony?
Yes.
Brett?
Yeah.
Troy?
Yeah.
Joe,
Yes.
Lisa? Yes. And the PA, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much. Good luck.
allowing us
Thank
to
you.
deliberate with
Good
you
luck,
a
guys.
little bit. Okay, next item is Base Build LLC. Thank you.
You have Joel Barrett here with us as well. I gotta show you that.
It's not on the floor.
Different, yeah.
Uh-oh.
Flat in the way we got it. Okay. Thank you. All right, we'll confirm. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joel. Base Build LLC is proposing to renovate a vacant building on South Avenue in the city of Rochester. The building will be converted to a mixed-use facility with 2 commercial floors and 1 residential floor consisting of 2 apartments. The project is seeking the Q Conversion Urban Exemption Program from the city of Rochester. The $1 million project is seeking to create 2 new FTEs. The applicant is seeking approval of a sales tax exemption and mortgage recording tax exemption. Benefit to incentive ratio is 27:1.
Yes, so I've spoken with the
You
board
are
and,
Mr. Barrett.
Joel Barrett with Base Build.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And how would you give us additional information?
Just that we are taking our company headquarters. We've been kind of transient and normally working on sites at projects that we've been performing. I've been before the board a few different times for development projects for other occupants or other tenants or other residential mixed-use developments, but this one I will be occupying the space for myself and our construction company. So this one's a little bit special to me since it will be my new home in downtown Rochester. I'm excited about renovating one of the last buildings over in that area that hasn't seen a lot of attention. The inside is much like some of the other buildings that we buy. It's been let go and it was used previously for the trophy manufacturing company. So I'm excited to do something that not only that we're going to occupy, but will allow us to increase our footprint a little bit more. And then in terms of employees, and we will also be developing 3 other commercial spaces for rental. I'm working on potentially renting to someone that we do business with quite a bit on the construction side. So potentially there will be, well, there definitely will be more jobs in access to our 8 employees and the 2 additional FTEs that we plan to hire after getting into the space. So 3 additional commercial suites available for more commercial employees downtown.
These office suites?
Yeah, 3 office suites. It's not a very large building, it's about 7,500 square feet. So we plan on being able to take a portion of the building and then create 3 suites for rental. Even on the residential side, I'm trying to do a new concept with residential space that allows for residential occupancy, but also a commercial frontage on South Avenue as well. So the apartments, you could kind of do I'm trying this live work model with the space, and it's only 2 residential units, but there is a stairway directly to South Avenue where if there was someone that had a little yoga studio or potentially a therapist office, they would be able to occupy, close off their office space and the stairwell leading to South Avenue. Tenants or users of the residential apartment services could park in the front, walk up, either have therapy, maybe it's a small yoga studio, maybe there's an art studio, but it kind of allows to the whole work from home concept with dedicated space and then street frontage to be able to utilize for that. So while there is 2 residential units that represent, a third of the square footage, probably 30% of the residential units will have a work from home focus to them for the tenant that's living in the space. So I'm pretty excited about trying that concept in this little small test environment, and potentially it's another way to merge residential and commercial spaces together in the future.
Okay, and the city of Rochester's already granted the Q Conversion Urban Exemption for this former trophy building.
Yes. Yeah, at the completion of project upon reassessment, assuming that we're able to, we do complete the project to plan the steps.
All right, any questions from the board? Public hearing was not required. I'll ask a local labor questions. Are you aware of our local labor policy?
I am.
Do you anticipate any local labor exemptions at this time?
I do not.
Are you aware that any exemptions need to be requested 45 days in advance?
I am.
Great. The seeker process is complete. We've waived the reading of the resolution. I'll now ask for a motion for inducement and final resolution approving a mortgage recording tax and sales tax exemptions. Is there a motion? Moved by Lisa, seconded by Joe. Any additional comments, questions? Let's take a roll call vote. Jay?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Brett?
Yay.
Troy?
Yay.
Joe?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Good luck to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Joel.
Okay, next section of the agenda is all of our project modifications. So we're going to start off with amended renewables. Anna?
Thank you. Amended Renewables LLC, a real estate holding company, is developing a 5 megawatt ground mounted solar energy project on an approximately 26-acre portion of land in the town of Mendon. The applicant was approved for sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions only in August of 2020. They are seeking an extension of sales tax exemptions through December 31st of 2021 due to a delay in receipt of construction materials, which resulted in construction delays.
All right. Any questions on that? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2021.
So
Motion moved by Tony, seconded by Brett. Any additional comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, also project modification, Clarkson Renewables.
Clarkson Renewables is developing a 5 megawatt ground mounted solar energy project on an approximately 39-acre portion of land on the west side of Lake Road in the town of Clarkson. The project will provide a significant benefit to the local community by enabling residents in the area to participate in a share of a local clean energy project and receive a discount on their electricity bills. The applicant was approved for sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions only in August of 2020. The applicant is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemptions due to material and construction delays.
So I'll ask for a motion to approve the extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2021. Moved by Jay, seconded by Brett. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next modification, SPS Medical Supply Group.
SPS Medical Supply Corp., or SPS, is a manufacturer of biological indicators, chemical indicators, and other products used to monitor sterilization and medical equipment. The company is constructing a 100,000 square foot addition to their 38,000 square foot facility in the town of Henrietta. The $18 million project is expected to create 100 new full-time jobs. In November of 2018, the applicant was approved for the enhanced Jobs Plus property tax abatement, as well as sales tax exemption on construction materials and furnishings. The project is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemptions through June 30th of 2022 due to construction delays caused by COVID.
All right, I'll ask for a motion to approve the extension of the sales tax 2022. Moved by Tony, seconded by Joe. Any comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 93 March Street LLC.
Sibley, excuse me, I think the next one is Sibley
Oh,
Commercial.
you're
LLC.
right.
I apologize.
I'm just trying to go a little too fast. Sibley Commercial. Thank you.
Sibley Commercial LLC was originally approved for a custom pilot for redevelopment of the former Sibley's department store in 2012. In 2016, the project was approved for sales and mortgage recording tax exemptions. The applicant is seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through June 30th, 2022.
I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemption through June 30, 2022. Moved by Lisa, seconded by Troy. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now we can do 93 Marsh Street LLC.
93 March Street LLC, a real estate holding company, is constructing 5 new attached single-family homes on Marsh Street in the city of Rochester. The $832,397 project was originally approved in August of 2018 and is supported by the city of Rochester as part of their core housing owner incentive exemption or choice program. The 952 square foot market rate townhomes will have 2 bedrooms and 1.5 baths. The project was approved for a Jobs Plus property tax abatement, mortgage reporting tax, and sales tax exemption. The job requirement is not applicable for the choice program project. The applicant is seeking an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31st, 2021 because of construction delays due to financing and weather.
Thanks, Anna. I'll ask for a motion to approve an extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2021. Moved by Brett, seconded by Joe. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So our last extension request is for Magna Real Property Acquisition Company LLC.
Magna Real Property Acquisition Co. LLC, a real estate holding company that is expanding its current facility in the city of Rochester from 32,000 square feet to 63,000 square feet for tenant XLI Manufacturing. The tenant is a leader in contract manufacturing, specializing in providing machine precision services. The $2.5 million project projects to create 25 new FTEs. The applicant was approved for sales tax and mortgage reporting tax exemption and the Jobs Plus property tax abatement in November of 2020 and is now seeking an extension of the sales tax exemptions through December 31st, 2021 due to construction delays.
Thanks, Anna. I need a motion to approve the extension of the sales tax exemption through December 31, 2021. Moved by Troy, seconded by Lisa. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Next item on the agenda is, I'm going to give the update on our compliance committee meeting. We met on the 15th. As chair of that committee, it was a very thorough, thoughtful review with a whole ton of work that has really been tackled by our staff, going through, a full year's worth of our projects, all of our projects, to see if they were compliant with the commitment that they had made to us. So I'm going to just summarize what the committee met. It was lengthy, lengthy discussion, and this is a summary of what transpired. So the committee met on Thursday, July 15th to discuss the compliance matters with respect to all COMIDA projects. The committee reviewed the sales tax recapture report, which provides information on all companies that exceeded the authorized amount of sales tax savings, and in 2020 there were 6 companies who had exceeded the authorized amount of sales tax savings, and all 6 companies have repaid the amount exceeded to the state. The next review was all of the companies that have failed to make their required payments under their pilot agreement. In 2020, several companies failed to make the required payments. However, only 2 companies of that list have not paid. And the committee authorized the staff to go ahead and send demand letters to those 2 companies requiring payment within 30 days of the receipt of the letter. If they fail to pay, The project may be subject to a penalty and/or termination. We also reviewed the companies that had failed to file an annual report with us. The company authorized staff to send demand letters requiring completion of the annual report within 30 days of the letter. And if the company fails to complete the annual report, the project could be subject to a penalty and/or termination. How many probably failed to
I think we're at 20,
submit the
down to
annual report?
22,
Pardon?
down to 22, I believe.
Okay. All right, so we've given staff authorization to send demand letters for those. And then we also reviewed the job compliance report, which provides information regarding companies seeking a waiver from us from the job creation requirements that were contained in the original pilot agreements. Companies have cited a variety of impediments to job creation. However, the most common reasons were COVID-19 and the inability to find qualified candidates. So I'm now going to ask for a motion to grant a waiver to the following projects as identified by project code. And we need to read all those, right? So the projects identified to grant a waiver to are, these all start out with 2602. How's that?
So 2602 is the code assigned to
Right,
COMIDA.
right.
So the project code that you can read just starts with the year and then the number.
Okay. Right. All right. The first one is 090378. The second one is 10001A, 10042A, 12014B, 12015A, 13006A, 13068A, 15065A, 15079A, 16002B, 16005A, 17042M, and 18062M, and 1743. So, all right. Any issues other than just identifying? The reason why we don't identify the name of the project owner is because of
They are going through hardship and thoroughly to create jobs, and we have elected to identify them by project code rather than name.
confidentiality. Okay. All right, so we need a motion to grant the waiver to all of those projects.
Motion.
All right, thanks, Troy. And Tony, and second. All those in favor say aye.
And I need to abstain from 13068A, but I will say A to the rest of them.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we already got the yays and there are nays. Oh, there's one abstention on 13006A. 68A.
Yes.
All right, thank you. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Lastly, the Compliance Committee reviewed the Delphi recapture matter, including correspondence and exhibits submitted by both Delphi and the West Henrietta School District. The Compliance Committee also heard comments from both Delphi and the school district. In summary, in response to the Delphi sale and closure of the facility, the school district and the town have requested that the agency authorize the affected tax jurisdictions to enforce the recapture provisions contained in the pilot agreement. And the committee unanimously forwards, they made a motion to authorize the recapture of 25% or less of the real property tax abatements provided to the company under the pilot agreement, with such recapture to be undertaken by the affected tax jurisdictions and or the agency. This morning we did receive additional correspondence. So we acknowledged receipt of that information. Is there a motion by the board to support this authorization? The motion. Moved by Jay, seconded by Tony. Any additional comments, questions? Okay. All those in,
I do need to abstain from this one as well.
okay, thank you. So all those in favor say aye. Opposed? One abstention. All right, thank you. Motion carries. Okay, next item is the Governance Committee report. Jay?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Governance Committee met on July 6th for the purposes of reviewing some professional services proposals, specifically legal services, and we reconvened this morning. We had a very thorough evaluation and discussion of the proposals, and the Governance Committee recommends to the full board that we retain Harris Beach for legal services for a period of
life. No?
She was pretty quick. That was pretty quick.
Yes. 4 years.
I like the way.
I suspect you would, Rachel. I suspect you would. So the Governance Committee is recommending that to be for consideration by the entire board.
Jay? So we'll ask for a motion to recommend that the Harris Beach Law Firm will represent us for legal services for 4 years, subject to annual board approval.
And Rachel.
And only Rachel.
It's specific. I'll motion
All right, thanks, Joe. Seconded by Lisa. Any other comments, questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nicely done. All right, so Anna, you have several discussion items for us.
We have a couple of miscellaneous items from Rachel before we go into my discussion items for Gannett Partners and Weigel.
Yeah. Neither are action items. For Gannett Partners, at the time that Gannett Partners submitted the application, they projected the ownership to be 50% Lacey and Tax and 50% Jim Taylor. Throughout the financing of the project, Jim Taylor is no longer going to be an owner. Lacey Cap will remain the managing member and own 85% of the project, and Carl Schuler will own 15% of the project. So that is the update. The second update is on Weigel. We entered into a lease-back with Weigel for the purposes of conveying real property tax abatement through a pilot agreement. For whatever reason, the M&T mortgages securing the property do not cover the parking lot. And so we will amend our leases to be consistent with the mortgage, which will be spread over both the building and the parking lot. Both just updates for the board's information, but no action needed. Thanks.
And my discussion item today is related to a proposal that came to the county by way of a prominent local tech entrepreneur named Aaron Newman. The organization is called Marl 5G. It's an early stage tech accelerator and fund focused on startups that create what are known as tech products and services for enterprise customers that run on 5G. The goal of the program is to connect Monroe County businesses to Silicon Valley by building a community of early stage investors, startup founders, and corporate venture teams in the spaces of mobility, AR, VR, autonomous vehicles, robotics, logistics, and cybersecurity. This is a $150,000 request before COMIDA to put up to 16 companies through the Monroe 5G 12-week accelerator program. the plan would be to support 2 cohorts per year with 7 to 9 startups participating in each, with the expectation that at least 2 startups would raise Series A capital. On the line, we have representatives from the Model 5G Accelerator. Robin, who do we have on the line?
Amir Khan.
Hi, this is Amir.
Oh, hi, Amir.
Hi. This is Prakash.
Hello, Prakash.
And this is Frank. And first of all, thank you for giving us the opportunity, ladies and gentlemen. We really like to thank you for this. We at Marl are building a community of entrepreneurs and technology ecosystem in the Rochester. We have successfully done this in San Francisco Bay Area, in Fremont, California. We have invested in about 24 companies so far, and our plan is to bring $2.5 million to invest in Rochester community in that particular area for about 16 starts per year and a commitment of 3 years of that investment. Our goal is to not only invest that money into the entrepreneur system out there, as well as provide the mentorship and guidance for these early stage entrepreneurs to build the next generation of tech companies in that area. Why we're doing this there, my business partner Prakash has a personal invested interest in Rochester. I'd like him to say a few words. That's okay.
Thanks, Amir. Yeah, my name is Prakash. I landed in Rochester in January of 1999. And since then, 11, 12 years in Rochester, I went to the school at Simon School for my MBA, and my kids were born in that region. And so when this opportunity came, I was so thrilled and excited. And I think in that region, there are tons of good universities and colleges. They produce so many good candidates in the computer science or tech industry. But those students look out for jobs somewhere else. And I don't think if we can establish a good startup ecosystem locally, a lot of those brain drains can be prevented, and locally jobs and wealth can be created. And that to the point when Xerox and Kodak used to serve the tech community big time, and we need to bring that back.
And to Prakash's point, as I mentioned, we are bringing the investment capital, and what we're looking for is the operational capital over there, which will be entirely spent in the county itself to support this ecosystem.
All right. And just to add to that, we have already started working with Simon School venture funds, as well as we have a couple of interns from Simon Business School who are interested in getting into the VC career path, because we strongly feel that our connection and networking the area definitely helps the community in Rochester area.
Are there any questions?
Is Aaron on the call as well?
No, the county executive is not with us today. Aaron.
Aaron.
Oh, sorry. I don't believe Aaron Newman is with us. I didn't hear him.
Okay.
With that in mind, we're open to questions. Yeah.
So the grant is for operational, right, for people. Is there a commitment to, what I heard, and I just want to make sure I understand this correctly, is that you are committed to spending $2.5 million over 3 years on companies in this area, startups? Did I hear that right?
In the Rochester area, it's about 16 companies per year, so we're looking about around 50 companies the next 3 years. That's correct.
Okay, so roughly 50K per company.
That's correct.
You said you successfully did this in San Francisco or Fremont, I believe.
Yes.
And can you just talk about the companies in terms of how much money did you put in? How many of the companies received how much investment you put in, how much of the companies, did they receive in other capital, and any follow-up investments?
That's correct. So we've got 24 companies is what we accelerated so far. Our venture capital partners like Right Side Capital, as well as the EV Investment, Flash Capital. These are early stage funds who followed on after our company. So out of 24 companies, considering COVID, about 8 of them has raised capital, from between 250, some 500, and some 750. Yeah, that.
Okay. So in total, you invested 2.5 million, and in total, the follow-on investments were what total dollar amount would you say?
For the ballpark, I would ballpark it about around the 2.5 million in those companies as well, from various VCs. Those companies in the Bay Area, we have an online program that actually have companies internationally from Germany, India, Israel, and other companies of the United States who participate in these programs.
And can you talk a little bit about your relationship with VCs? Because that is usually a huge issue for startup companies is access to significant amounts of capital to grow, and not be starved. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely, and I'll give you a little bit about my background in that. I was tech founder, and Prakash is also tech founder. We're founders ourselves. When we were building the accelerator, and this is the first challenge, was yes, it is the VC capital is that the number one, the follow-on capital is the number one challenge for the startups to grow. In that in mind, we built the VC with about 60 of the venture capital partners we have that look at a deal. That these venture capital partners are some of them are corporate VCs, such as venture firms like Volvo, Jaguar Land Rover, Nissan Group, Plug and Play, and then other independent venture groups like Grit Ventures, which invest heavily in robotics, Right Side Capital, and this is the reason we built this community. And Prakash and I, we have been here in the Bay Area. I've been here about 13 years in the Bay Area, and I built all these relationships through my first company when I was building capital. So we have deep ties with Silicon Valley Venture Capital Network, and we have, they're all listed. Most of them are listed on our website, and we're also backed by one of the two largest funds in the country, where it's Right Side Capital Management, as well as the EVPI investment out of Boca Raton, Florida. So these are backers of our limited partner platform.
Okay.
And to just add to that,
these limited partners have invested over 25 years in about 15,000 companies combined.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to add?
and just to add to that point, we are also actively working on our second fund to support the startups as they grow. Have a deep interest and confidence on helping especially the first generation founder community. First time founders, they have a lot of learning to do, and I think from our own life experience, we can bring those to them.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Amir. I would just add that the county executive recommended that COMIDA consider this proposal upon extensive conversations with Aaron Newman, who is the founder of Cloud Checker, which is a Rochester-based cloud services security business that's grown by leaps and bounds. He's a software engineer by trade and a successful founder who identified that tech entrepreneurs like himself were faced with a dearth of venture capital resources and access in Monroe County, and oftentimes go elsewhere to found and grow their companies. What we'd like, given the fact that this IDA is focused on economic growth in Monroe County, we'd like to see businesses that launch here, particularly out of our higher education ecosystem, grow here and be based here. And this investment for a year, we're going to seek, we're going to look for indications that there are successful connections made with other venture capital groups, and that local startups are given the opportunity to scale.
Been involved in, I served on the board of the Rochester Angel Network. We invest in early stage companies. Where these folks are proposing to invest is we have a vacuum. They're looking to make $50,000 investments. This is what we call seed capital. This is just initial money to test out an idea. And this is even with the Angel Network. We see companies that we look at and we say they're just too early for us to invest in. And for someone to come in and fill that gap and be able to say, hey, is there something there? And then to say, okay, if that happens, they might come before the Angel Network, might tap into their network, is a real need in this area, in this community. And I would really recommend that we move forward with this. And I like the way it's being proposed is, let's do it for a year, let's see how it goes, and then let's re-up. But this has the potential, and I emphasize potential. There are no guarantees. The failure rate here is extremely high. But this has the potential to create the cloud checkers of the world. Or what's the other one that, Datto. Yeah, these type of companies. And we do have the intellectual capital. We are missing some of the financial capital.
I have a question. Thank you. Have you folks reached out to Excel Partners, the accelerator entity of the University of Rochester? Question for the folks who are on the phone for funding.
Hello, I'm sorry, what question?
Have you reached out to Excel Partners, which is the entity of the University of Rochester that works in, on investments in accelerator projects? Have you gone to them for funding?
We have not. Prakash, do you want to interact on that a little bit?
No, yeah, we have not, because their appetite of investments are a little different, a little bit higher end of the company. So, however, we are in active discussion with the Simon School Venture Fund, which is a early stage startup investment, as well as it is a vehicle that Simon Business School they use to give the exposure of this industry to the business school MBA students. And I think that is more relatable and more possible to us. So we can, the startups that meet our criteria or investment thesis, we can join of startups and give exposure, say 4 or 5 students internships every year and give them that exposure. So there is a multi-dimensional value we can create by working together.
And then I would agree with Prakash that Excel is likely to be an investor for the next round.
Right.
Right. The companies that they're focused on are
getting them to them.
Yeah, student with an idea, no money.
Right. We recently, the county executive and I, sat through a presentation delivered by Excel where they went over the fact that they do not cover that seed stage. That's an area where Monroe County is lacking, to Jay's point also. And they have a proposal before the county for the county to invest some of our federal stimulus money into that entity to help address that seed stage capital concern. And that's a longer term play. This accelerator program would help to make draw some straight lines between Monroe County and Rochester and those geographies where there's a wealth of seed stage venture capital. especially Silicon Valley.
And these folks have a tracker. You know,
This is Aaron Newman's on the line as well from Cloud Checker and Scale Up LX. So
Thank you, Aaron.
thanks everybody.
Thanks, Aaron. Does anybody have any questions for Aaron Newman?
How was Denali? Never mind, Aaron.
Oh,
That's
we don't have
Jay.
enough time. Yeah, hi Jay. I twisted my ankle coming out of base camp. So it was 6 months of hard work and I hit a patch of blue ice and just squeaked the heck out of it. So
I'm sorry.
not the outcome, but you know what? I survived and I can go back.
Live to climb another day.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
This was information only at this point, right? You're not trying to drive for a decision today.
Not at this time, unless the board decides that you'd like to make a choice, and we can bring it back for
And
consideration.
it can also be a different amount than the 150 that's stipulated. How would you like us to proceed?
Any thoughts on, I'm agnostic on whether we choose to vote today or if we table it to next month. Again, Aaron brought this to the county executive. The county executive is interested in moving forward. It's a larger ask than is typical for the board for program support. But that's not to say that we haven't tackled.
The potential is limitless.
I'm comfortable putting the proposal out today.
Okay.
I would be supportive, but
And we have the funds for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a little box somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm looking at our CFO and asking him that question. Well, someone want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Jay moves
Second.
that we do enter into an accelerator partnership with Morrow 5G Accelerator and to fund the request of $150,000 to move forward. Anything else you want? Add to that, okay. All right, is there a second? Okay. Any other comments, questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, congratulations to the accelerator.
Thank you.
clubs.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with you.
We're looking forward to working with you. We'll see you all very soon.
All right, thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, take care.
Is it time yet?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Oh, wait.
Thank you.
Are there any other items? I would just say September 10 is the retreat.
Yes.
Okay. Make sure that's on your calendar. I forget the time, 11:30 to 2 or something. And we must all recognize we have a birthday boy here today.
That is right.
That retreat's in 10 minutes.
Happy birthday, Troy.
Let's put that in the minutes. Let the minutes reflect
But we bought you a cake, Troy, so you're gonna stay for a few minutes.
Happy 39th.
Yeah.
You know, that's the number I used last Thursday, actually. Yeah.
Where's that hat?
Should have worn that the whole time.
Sometimes poor decisions come consequences.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all.
We have lunch.